Keep your radio dial right here. You're locked into the hottest news station on the planet. Hot 702.5 in FM sound. Blazing today's hip-hop, R&B, and pop music. Keeping your radio on fire. Bringing you the hottest, realest, riskiest talk shows live 24/7 on hot7025fm.com.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Laugh Therapy listeners, welcome to another dose of joy-infused vibes on Laugh Therapy, where we are on a mission to uplift your mood and your mental one laugh at a time, one hearty chuckle at a time. I am your cosmic guide through the giggles, and today's show is a special treat. Hold on to your funny bones because we've got the British comedy maestro, Mr. Chris Turner in the building. I am super excited to have this guest on. It was a super last-minute thing, guys. I messaged him and was like, hey, as soon as I saw he was coming into town, and he was gracious enough to give us a few moments of his time and hop on here and talk with us really quickly. So today we are diving into the depths of his comedy journey, relishing his favorite comedic moments, and getting the lowdown on what projects he has coming up next. Everybody make a warm welcome and give a good laugh for Mr. Chris Turner. Welcome to Laugh Therapy, Chris.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I cannot wait to infuse the listeners with joy. I've never described my comedy as that, but it does make it sound like I'm a comedy tea bag.
Right?
As a British man, love a good cup of tea.
You have to pick words that kind of titillate the palate.
Exactly. Titillate the palate. We're talking so British. This is fantastic.
Absolutely. My first time seeing you, Chris, was actually on a date night for me. Me and my girlfriend went to see the show. I always call it New York, New York. That's not what it's called, but it's called Mad Apple here.
Confused me there, you went, my first time seeing you was on a date night. I was like, so gosh, did we go on a date?
Oh, no.
I'm so sad. Oh, I need to tell my wife.
Not quite, right. Not quite. But yes, me and my girlfriend went on a date to Cirque du Soleil here in Las Vegas. And you were one of the featured comics there. And I remember thinking how cool it was. One, being a stand-up comedian myself, I've never seen stand-up comedy done in a Cirque du Soleil show. Because I do love theater as well. Yeah.
They were
so I was really...
when they wanted stand-up, so they kind of trawled the US comedy scene and the UK comedy scene. And then they asked me to do it. I was like,
and they found the British maestro
weren't available.
Right? Oh no! It's like, how many people said no before you got to me? No, but you were actually hilarious. We really enjoyed it. I, being someone who clearly, being on the radio and a comedian, I love music. And when you came out and you said you were going to freestyle, of course, as Americans, everybody's face kind of turned a bit, and we're all looking at each other like, this British kid's about to freestyle. Like, okay, come on. Do you get that reaction a lot in the States?
Yes. No, it would be, no, that was the only time. Usually people go, oh my God, we can't wait. No, of course, all the time. And it's not just here, it's anywhere in the world. Because people go, sorry, your accent does not fit with what you say you're about to do.
It doesn't say hip hop. It doesn't say hip hop at all.
I mean, I could just start putting on the kind of Top Boy style East London accent if I wanted, and maybe people would believe me more. But yeah, my Britishness just kind of peeks through. But then, your listeners weren't at that show, so you're gonna have. Was it good? Was the rap good?
It was actually really good, and we tried to throw some really crazy words at you too. We did. Everybody used like the craziest of words, and that was one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. Can you share maybe some of your hilarious or maybe embarrassing moments from your comedy gigs or epic fails when it comes to either freestyling or a joke with us?
Yeah. Oh, I can give you some epic fails. I mean, a comedian that's been going 14
we all
years.
Have those.
I've got 14 years of epic fails. I mean, my third ever gig, and I remember this because I think it illustrates what it takes to be a comedian. You need to believe that you are funny even when the evidence suggests otherwise. My first gig had been fine. My second gig was fine. So I do my third gig, but it's like at a professional comedy night. Everyone else is good. I've got to do 5 minutes. That's all I need to do. And 3 minutes into my set, I do a joke that just doesn't hit. No one likes it. And from that joke on, they're silent. Now, it's only 2 minutes of silence. That's actually... If
2 out of 5 is a long time.
Now,
yeah.
It was... and so I do my final joke, and it gets no laughter. Nothing.
Oh, no.
And then I'm like, okay, well, thank you guys. You've been great. and I go to leave the stage. No applause. A guy just shouts, "Tumbleweed."
Oh no.
And I leave the stage. I don't get booed off the stage. I was silenced off the stage. And that is the fact that that was my third gig and didn't stop me from doing comedy. That shows people the ridiculousness of being a comedian. The fact that that happened. I went back to my house and I wrote in my notebook 5 out of 10. I rated myself 5 out of 10 for that gig. A gig where for 2 minutes, for 40% of my set, there was no laughing at all. And
Would you say you're one of your toughest critics? Would you say you're one of your toughest critics? I feel like comics can be pretty tough on ourselves. I would
say my friends,
Yeah.
my friends and my wife, they'd be like, "Chris, that wasn't actually very funny." I'll come off stage and I'll always be like, "Well, that was amazing. I killed it." They're like, "Not sure about that."
I'm the complete opposite. I'll come off stage and I'm like, crap, like I should have done this better. I should have said that. I should have done this. And like everybody else will be like, that was amazing. You did so great. You're amazing. And I'm like,
there
crap,
you go. It's a totally different aspect of it. I think I was brought up at an all-boys school, and all of our teachers just kind of told us every day, they were like, "You are the smartest young men in this country. You are the young men that will go on to lead this nation." And we were all like, yeah. Probably we will, yeah. And so we have this ridiculous self-inflated importance of ourselves. And I think that's what translates into the comedy. So, yeah, luckily, I don't suffer from those little kind of sitting around going, "Oh, maybe I'm not very good." I'm like, yeah, I was funny. That audience were wrong. It was
like, I'm amazing. Y'all are the problem. I love that. I love that bout of confidence, because comedians will quickly, we'll tell people the job's not easy. People automatically feel like they're funnier in the seats. And then as soon as you get on stage, you see that it's a completely different ball field being up here. But freestyle rap in your comedy set, that's really bold. How did you decide to incorporate that?
Yeah, I was rapping when I was 11 years old. So that's 23 years ago now. And I loved it. I loved, all the kind of standard rappers from back then. So like Eminem and Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. And I was like, wow, these guys are amazing. They're like, the way that they work with words, that's really smart. And because I was this kid who valued being smart and learning, I'd be like, wow, I don't know what these words mean, or I didn't know that was a word you could rhyme with that. So I kind of started trying to rap myself. And I enjoyed making up my own raps, just the way I'd make up stories. Like my dad would always make up stories to me. He'd kind of just sit down every night at the dinner table and he'd just tell a story as if it was real, as if it happened, even though clearly it was a lie. He'd just be like, "Well, you'll never believe what happened to me on the way home from work. I saw a chicken with 3 legs." You're like, "What, Dad?" And then he'd tell the story of this 3-legged chicken. I started making up raps, and maybe 6 years go by and I'm getting quite good at it. Then I go to university and separately start doing improvised comedy. So Whose Line Is It Anyway style comedy. In the context of improv comedy, there's quite a lot of musical improv games where we go, "Oh, give us a song title, we'll sing it. Tell us what to do," And I was quite good at any type of rap music that we had to do. And so when I started doing stand-up, a few years went by and I kind of kept it separate. I was like, my improv is separate, my music is separate, my comedy is separate, stand-up wise. And then I did some kids comedy shows, and I used to make up songs for the kids shows because the kids would really like that. Like the jokes, maybe they'd be a bit like, we don't get it. But a song, if I go, "Hey, let's make up a song about your favorite, color and your favorite animal." And then they'd be like, "I like blue and I like snakes." And you're like, okay, this is a song about blue snakes. And it would go down so well. I was like, oh, maybe I should.
That would have held my attention as a kid.
Blue snake.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just started doing it in my kind of adult sets as well, the ones that were for normal comedy clubs. And it took me from being an open spot to headlining really quickly, because it would just get a response from the audience that you wouldn't get otherwise, Like my jokes were funny, but they weren't going to get people standing up and applauding, whereas the rap would, because of that combination of surprise and it not being expected, and then it also actually being good, because that was always a thing. Like you never want it to be, and especially with, I moved to America 7 years ago, gigging in LA, gigging in New York, which is where I live. You don't want to just be like, "Hey, I can freestyle," and it to be fine. because you can guarantee there'll be people in the audience who'll be like, I can freestyle better than this. So what's fun for me is to be able to be like, I can freestyle. Then after the show, people come up to you and they're like, hey, I grew up freestyling, and like, that's pretty good. So well done on doing that. And you're like, oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad it was entertaining, funny, informative, or also just, like you said, sometimes very silly.
Yeah, it was really silly. It was really fun when we went. But I think the reason it was silly was because the words that we chose were just so far outlandish, which I'm sure you get a lot when you tell people to pick words. People try to pick the craziest of words, Kakumba.
I encourage people to be challenging in a way, like, suggest something that you're like, nah, no way can he rap about this. And then you go,
I think the one that got us was like, it was like the word stroller or something, because I'm a mom. So we just screamed something like that, and you ended up picking it. And we're like, he's really going to move forward with stroller. And you did. It was really good and really silly.
Strollers. There's not enough,
Yeah, you did. You did really well. Also, you've been on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. And you were the only British comedian to ever do it, to do it at that time. How did that opportunity come about, and what was the experience like?
Yeah, they saw me in New York at the Comedy Cellar, which is the club I play like almost every weekend. And the woman who books it like kind of approached me. She's like, hey, I've seen you 7 or 8 times now, and every time the rap kills. I'm going to put you forward for the show. They were anxious about putting improv on TV. They're like, we can't let him do a freestyle. What if it goes terribly wrong? What if he says something horrendously offensive? And I was like, well, why would I do that? Like, you go through your life not saying offensive things if you don't want to. We don't just blurt out, things that we don't want to say. I was like, it's just that, but it rhymes. And in the end, Stephen, the host, just said, let him improvise. If it doesn't go well, we won't air it. And so I did. It went wonderfully. We got a standing ovation from like however many 100 people were in that theater. And afterwards they said that was the first standing ovation we ever got. And then I watched Jerry Seinfeld on there, and he got a standing ovation when he walked on. So I'm the only one to get a standing ovation for
He's like, I call bullshit.
Yeah, they were like, Jerry Seinfeld standing up. Yeah. But for me, it was like, that was good. That one was fun because they were like, don't be controversial. You can't do anything inappropriate. And then one of the suggestions was something about like healthcare in Donald Trump's America. And the guy saying it was like in a wheelchair with an oxygen canister.
Oh, no.
Like, oh, no, this guy clearly has opinions on that. So I think in the rap, you can see me in that moment just like, don't say anything that's going to get me death threats.
Right. Oh, no, don't get canceled. But that also brings up an interesting subject, especially with being a comedian, because comedy has changed so much in the past 20 years with what you're allowed to say, what's cool to say, what's not cool to say, cultural differences and things of that nature. How do you navigate that being international? Dealing with different cultures in your audience.
I mean, I find I can talk about whatever I want to, but then again, I don't want to talk about anything controversial. I talk about stuff that I care about. So I talk about my family. I talk about my kid. I talk about what I am interested in. I'm not I don't have strong opinions. I have a wife. She has strong opinions. I just go, yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Feel like comedians, there are some comedians who love sitting down and just like, going back and forth over a debate. And I'll be there going, ooh, but wouldn't it be nice just to close our eyes and have a nice nap? I'm not
I enjoy peace
comedian.
And quiet.
Yeah. Like, someone will suggest something and I'll, if it might be quite naughty, I'll still rap about it. But I mean, most of the stuff that I talk about would probably be, that's like considered a bit more like controversial, would just be nationality based. Like I talk a lot about being British, and I talk a lot about kind of the interactions between me and Americans. And then I use that to kind of comment on like everyone. So, a comedy club audience will have people from India in. There'll be people from, France. There'll be people from... And I find it very funny to bring up the fact that, we used to own lots of these countries. And some people are, what? How dare he say that? I'm like, no. I'm not saying it was good. I'm just saying it happened. And let's play with the stereotypes that exist of me as a British man, you as an American, you as a French person, you as an Indian person. And I really like doing that. My degree is in anthropology. So I feel like I have some academic background to mock other cultures. But sometimes it shows people go, you did take that a bit too far. I'm not entirely sure you could start, calling out Serbians in that way. And I'm like, but they are all monsters. Apologies to any Serbians who are listening. Last night, I had some people in the audience who I talk about Albania at the moment. I've got a lot of Albanian stories. And there are people who were like, woo! And I was like, you're from Albania? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, whereabouts? And they were like, Kosovo. Like, that's a different country. And then they go, no, it's still Albania. I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure that's how most of human history has ended up in war. When people go, it's still this country. No, I don't think it is. No, it is. No, it isn't. No, it is. War.
Not quite. Right. War. Oh, man. There are so many different amazing opportunities to meet some really amazing people in comedy. But also it's an opportunity to meet some really weird people. I've met some really weird people after some shows who come up and just, oversharers who share the weirdest parts of their lives with you and don't realize they're about to, write your next set just by this interaction. Can you share maybe a funny interaction you've had, or one that just comes to mind of meeting a fan after a show that you'll just never forget that fan or that situation?
There are so many people, and so people, they don't realize how unhinged they are or how strange they are. I mean, there's one guy that stuck with me because he threatened to beat me up, and I used to work with autistic kids, and so I had a lot of stories about working with autistic kids. But I'd write these jokes, and I asked the people who used to work with me, I was like, hey, can I tell jokes about these kids? I wouldn't use their name or anything, but they are funny stories about these autistic kids. And obviously I care about them because I'm working with them. Can I tell this story? And they were like, we think it would be better if you make it like a family member rather than a joke about these kids. Make it your brother. And I'm like, I don't have a brother. They go, yeah, but just make it up. It's a comedy set. No one believes half of what you say. So I'm doing this show in the United Kingdom. It's above a curry house. It wasn't a big room. It was 30 people in this room. And there was a guy in the front row with his dad who was clearly autistic. And I never referenced it, but every now and again, I would just direct a punchline at him, not of the autism material, of some of my kind of more one-linery jokes, because I feel like a lot of autistic people like that kind of one-liner based comedy where it's oh, it's a smart joke and they kind of, get it quick. And so I kept directing it to this kid and he was laughing, but his dad was just looking miserable. He looked so angry. He was just hating my set. And I finished my set and he comes up to me and he's like, you were making fun of my son. I was like, what? He goes, you were talking about how he was autistic. And I'm like, no, I was talking about how my brother's autistic. He goes, you were mocking him. And I was like, no, I wasn't. He was laughing. He was getting all the jokes. They weren't about him. They were jokes he was getting. And the guy goes, oh, I would knock your lights out if you didn't have an autistic brother. And I'm like, thank God I pretended I had an autistic brother. So now every set I do, I don't even do a joke. I just walk on. The first thing I say and the last thing I say, I walk on, I go, my brother's autistic. And then when I leave, I go, good evening. It's been a pleasure. My name's Chris Turner. My brother's autistic. And then that way no one will knock me out. That's a joke. That's not how I start or end my shows. That would be if I
that is hilarious.
And I walked on. I mean, I do. My favorite autistic brother joke is my brother's very intelligent. He's autistic. So if you give him a Rubik's Cube, it takes him 12 seconds to say thank you.
And that's funny to me because I am autistic.
There you go. You see.
So
I mean, look, the number of times
we find those hilarious.
Yeah, the number of times that people have come up to me after shows and be like, "So you could only freestyle because you're severely autistic, right?" I'm like, I mean, I could also just be good at a thing.
Yeah, I could just be talented. Everybody who's talented is not on the
Don't
spectrum.
say that.
We own it now, though.
Yeah, my confidence is high, but my modesty is equally high. So whenever someone's like, "That was great," I'm like, "Oh, thank you." They're like, "No, you should big up yourself." She's like, "Yeah, it was." I'm like, "Oh, that's not how England works."
Oh my goodness. Well, you have gotten some really great opportunities, like I said, with The Late Show and with working Cirque du Soleil, and with your freestyling being such an intricate part of your comedy now, and being something that's gotten you, I don't know, I would like to say world renowned, but
yeah, I mean, I'm known in various countries across the world, so
yes,
world renowned. I'll take it.
Yes. So I actually want to hear a little bit. Do you think you could freestyle for us today?
No, we can definitely do that. Well, so I mean, you're so excited. I'm sure the listeners are as well, or they're turning the radio off, going, "Yeah, we don't need to hear this." I would encourage
the
you.
DJ like, I got it. He can do it.
Yeah.
All right,
Listen, it could be the best thing you've ever heard, or the worst thing you've ever heard. Well, for this then. You pick what the rap's about. So give me some topics, and feel free to make them difficult or really kind of weird. And you've seen me do it, so you know I can do it. So let's turn the difficulty up a notch.
Use the word feeding, because I know you're a parent, so kids, it doesn't necessarily have to be about kid, but feeding. Feeding
is a sexual fetish as well. That's where people
Really?
People who really like their partner to be very overweight, so they give them increasing amounts of. They're a feeder. It's a genuine thing. I remember it because
now I got to Google it.
One of my friends'
I feel like
dad,
there's a documentary now.
We saw him out with a very fat woman, and we were like, "Whoa, Michael, your dad's a feeder. He feeds women so much that they can't get out of his house because that's the only way they'll stay with him." And he was like, "Shut up, my dad's not a feeder."
Wow. I don't know how many words you want me to give you.
Give me five. Not just words. It could be anything, topics or phrases or just ridiculous things, whatever.
Feeding, dolphins. Yes. Cats.
What, can you give me an activity?
I want to say swimming.
Well, no, not swimming, because I'm going to mix this with dolphins and something that a dolphin wouldn't do for comedy value.
Bowling.
Dolphins bowling. Great. Yeah. That's the second
dolphins
suggestion.
bowling.
You got what's third, fourth, and fifth?
The color blue. Any color blue. It could be indigo.
Oh, any color blue.
Any color blue.
I'm glad you didn't say purple, because that doesn't rhyme with anything.
I know. I was going to say purple, and then I thought about it. I was like, I like music.
It's an incredibly depressing book.
Yes. Blue. Any color blue and fire.
Fire. And then one more thing. And make this, make it ridiculous. What's the last historical fact you learned?
Ooh. Oh, I actually learned that there were 5 world extinctions, 5 large world.
Yeah, large scale
extinctions. And the dinosaurs didn't die to the 5th one. Like, the world has reset itself 5 times.
Brilliant. Dinosaurs in the last one. We're going to really upset the creationists with that. Well, this is a freestyle. Like I said, that's a rap made up on the spot. We got the beat going. This is a beat by my guy Dexter. It's about feeding, bowling dolphins, any color blue, fire, and how there were 5 world extinctions. The dinosaurs were the last one. Pretty good. Okay. We'll have a lot of fun. Yeah, we'll have a massive lark. The dinosaurs come back in Jurassic Park. They were bringing them back from extinction. Richard Attenborough did it with distinction. Michael Crichton wrote the script, and Steven Spielberg developed it and filmed it. The Lost World, that was the sequel. I keep thinking, let me break it down like the 5th of the extinctions. I see the swamps stinking with the steam. That'd be number 5. Jesus, team, we got 4 more things coming out before I imagine ice ages, and then the thaw, that's when it melts. I felt can't avoid, pelted the planet with the asteroid. 1, 2, 3, yeah, we know. I assume extinction's coming from the trio, or maybe volcano, or maybe the earthquake. If you're on the volcano, run out the way, don't sit there. and admire the fire while you see the flame shooting out and going much higher. It's like a pyroclastic flow. I see the lava coming down. It's like rolling. It be getting my feet and it's burning them off. Dive to the ocean. Then I take off on the back of a dolphin. You know it's somersaulting. It's so incredible, but 10-pin bowling, the game that I like. I'm feeling insane. It's such a shame if you never see the dolphin on the lane. It's got a blowhole. Looking at these, it'd be like a bowling ball. Even though they got 3, you put your fingers in and then you hit a strike and the dolphin clicks all night. It's like, is that the type of noise that they do when they get the split? They be upset, boo-hoo. What's the color of the dolphin? Ooh, is it slightly gray or maybe blue? That's the deep blue sea. You know we never fail. I can go down, swim deep there with the whale. That be a blue thing. Yeah, you know I thought of, but maybe the killer whale. That would be the orca. That one's monochrome. Yeah, we're getting it right. It's not blue. That's the whale. That be black and then white. That's like Free Willy, ever so silly. I be sighing. I'm trying to get the color blue. You know I see cyan. CYAN. That's a color. And indigo. You were given it like, yo, push comes to shove. You can see the rainbow. Isaac Newton. It was like, bro, why'd you say there's 7 colors? You know there's just 6. Blue, indigo, violet. This is shit. Why are you confusing yourself saying that? There's no indigo there. Take that back. I know my dolphin's hungry. He's got a feeling. He's like click, click, click. And he wants feeding. So he goes to the fish market and he grabs any sardine, any sprats, loads of crabs. I be getting them in the bucket from the rock pool. I pluck it out. I got lots, fool. I can take them home and I give them to the lady I like because I'm a feeding guy. Yes, I like my wife to eat calories. I'm telling all of these fetishes. Yeah. You know we're going strong, never pathetic. I give us so much food that the planet is sinking, and that feeding causes the 6th extinction.
Oh, snap!
That's what I'm talking about.
Hip-hop R&B, he gave it to us. How y'all feeling about it, guys? I love it. I absolutely love it. That one was so fun, and it seems like you have so much fun when you're doing it.
I do. Yeah, I really enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, you have so
kind of
much
zone
fun
out,
in it.
and then people will be like, that was an amazing rap. I'm like, was it? I wasn't in my body when it happened.
You're like, I hope you recorded it. That's amazing. We used to do like what we would call going the dozens at the table, to where we were freestyling, but our freestyles were growing up were meant to be mean. You know, like you would freestyle against someone or on someone, so it would be like ragging on their clothes or their shoes or their hair or their style or whatever for freestyle. So ours, I feel like whenever I try to freestyle now, I always go back to that as a child, and it ends up becoming mean, and that's not what I meant. Like I was like, oh no, I always end up clowning somebody.
I love
and
that,
I'm like,
I really love that. Actually, I'm going to teach my daughter to do that. She's only 2. But, you know, the best thing about her is we live in Brooklyn. She's going to grow up with a Brooklyn accent. So I'm going to sound like this, and then it will be like, and here's my little girl. What did you just call me? Oh, she's got a gun.
Exactly. Oh, I love that so much. You said in your comedy special, you talk a lot about your family, as do I. I talk about parenting. I talk about my kids. I actually have an entire segment that's dedicated to F them kids in my comedy special. With your daughter, you said you've been doing comedy for 20 plus years and your daughter's 2. What was the transition like with introducing now being a parent into being a full-time comic?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, obviously a lot of comedy audiences don't have kids because otherwise why are they out at 10 p.m. at night? But, you know, if the material's funny, you can talk about anything. And I think that it's relatable regardless of whether you have a kid or not. And obviously it's also only a short part of my set. But no, I like to talk about it from my perspective of I'm very proud to be a dad. I love my little girl. I think it's quite cool. You don't see a lot of dads talk about their kids in the same way, you know, like female comics might talk about their kids and people go, oh, they're talking about their kids, women. And you're like, mate, well, we should talk about our kids. And so everyone's like, oh, yeah. No, I mean, you're just more tired when you do shows. Because if I'm at the Comedy Cellar, I'm not getting home until 2 a.m. and then I'm waking up at 7 a.m. So you have to kind of nap. You have to nap.
Agreed. Especially, I was not a good napper when I started. I do not have 20 years in the game, but I do have 4 children. So being a comedian and traveling now and going to different states to do it and going to different, you know, places and whatnot, trying to find that time to make sure I'm spending enough time with my children when I am home. but also making sure that I have the energy to do my job first as being a mother, and then still have the energy of doing my job as a comic. So we don't have very many comics out here who have children, or at least who have them full time. So I took the opportunity to ask that question.
A part-time child. I'd love that. That'd be great. You can have kids part-time.
Just check in on the weekends, or Wednesday through Saturday.
That sounds like the best possible way to parent. I mean, for us, not for the children.
It absolutely does. But you actually have a show here in Las Vegas coming up here soon. You are at Wise Guys?
Yes, Wise Guys in the Arts District this Friday and Saturday. So that's the 17th of November and the 18th of November, or as the Americans say it, November 17th, November 18th.
Friday and Saturday.
And 8 p.m.
Every Thursday. 8 p.m. to close, you said?
It's 8 p.m. The 8 p.m. shows. That's the show time.
Okay, the 8 p.m. shows.
Oh, yeah. And I do like to point out it's in the Arts District because obviously this weekend's going to be quite Formula One racy.
Yes.
The Arts District, you're going to be fine. There's no one's driving cars through there.
It's not going to be the same type of traffic that we're dealing with right now with F1 coming this weekend. So it's actually a great alternative to people who are here and looking for something to do here in Las Vegas, and you don't want to get caught up in the hour-long traffic that this F1 Formula is getting ready to give us. There are not many other
shows you can go to. All the shows on Friday and Saturday have
the strips
shut down. So really, I'm just going to have loads of angry Shin Lim fans being like, "We can't see his show. Can you do a card trick?" I can do a rap.
No, I'm kidding. You're going to do great. It's going to be so great. I actually love Wise Guys. I love the bookers there. I love the audience that comes there, because the audience is a little bit, I don't necessarily want to call them woke, but like they ride. The audiences that come to Wise Guys come to laugh. So I'm always really excited when I do get to work there, because the audiences that come, they come to laugh. They come to have a good time and to see a good show and have a good time. But with that being said, how would you compare the audiences that you have run into here in Vegas compared to at home in New York? Because both of them are pretty big tourist cities.
Yeah. The Comedy Cellar in New York is the best comedy club I've ever played in, because even though they're tourist audiences, they're there because they've heard that it's the best comedy club and they want to have this New York comedy experience. In Vegas, most of my shows were done with Cirque du Soleil. So those audiences are different because they're there because they want to see a Vegas show. They don't necessarily care if it's comedy. They don't care if it's, rap. They just want to see a show. So you have to kind of convince them a bit more. Also, they're more likely to not speak English because it's a Cirque du Soleil show. And they go, oh, we can just look at the beautiful acrobats. And then I walk on and I'm like, hey, I'm not a beautiful acrobat. I'm going to rap for you. And they're like,
I want to talk to you for a minute.
But I performed at Wise Guys before. I was opening for Brad Williams there. And yeah, I loved that crowd. Because that crowd actually feels like quite a local crowd. And I think, it's not the comedy club on the Strip where the tourists are going to because they stay in that hotel. It's got a great reputation for bringing good comics. People, who live in Vegas, they're going to come out. So, yeah, I'm really excited to be there.
Agreed, and super excited for that. Now, for you right now, because I know we're getting ready to wrap up because you do have to go to work.
Yes, East Coast. I've got shows.
Absolutely, working hard. I want to know who have been some of your favorite comics to work with, and then also upcoming projects. Where can we find you next outside of Wise Guys?
Yeah, comics to work with. I love. Mainly New York comics. I love John Laster, who is one of the hosts at the Comedy Cellar. He's fantastic, really, really good. He's currently not there because he's touring with Tracy Morgan. He's one of Tracy's guys, and he told me, he goes, it's great touring with Tracy. Unless you hear, there's two words that if you hear, things are going to go crazy, and the words are, "I'm bored."
Oh. That sounds about
Tracy, right. You never want to hear "I'm bored." I was like, that's so funny. I love Cypher Sounds. DJ Cypher Sounds, very famous in New York. He's been a great pal at the Comedy Cellar. Lots of the hosts are really fun. Matt Richards, a great host. The people who know how to get a show set up right. And then there's so many just good comedians at the moment, like Gianmarco Ceresi and Jeff Asmus, and just all these like people that I watch. Ethan Simmons Patterson, my God, he's probably the best comedian in the in the US that no one's heard of at the moment. He doesn't even have social media, so you have to go to New York to see him. But
I was just getting ready to ask where we can find him. New York.
He's from the south side of Chicago, and one of his like bits that he does at the moment is just talking about how he robbed houses when he was a teenager. And to come on stage and tell the audience that you robbed houses as a teenager and immediately win them round. Like, how good are you at comedy that the audience just like, yeah, we like you, we're rooting for you. Yes, these people are great. Upcoming projects, all my shows that I'm doing, they're on my website, christurnercomedy.com or britishcomedian.com. I also own that. You can go britishcomedian.com. People think that's a joke. No, I own englishcomedian.com as well. And then I just put out a game, which is it's a card game. It's called Rap Battles. Quite wonderfully. It is like Cards Against Humanity, but for freestyle rap. So the idea is,
that sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, someone like you who has experience freestyling, you could play someone who's never freestyled before, and it would still be fair because there's like difficulty levels and things. The idea is, and it's a really fun kind of drinking game. It's a really fun family game. We made it so that you could like play with your grandmother, and it could turn out that she's incredible.
Hip hop granny.
Yeah, so you can get that online or in any kind of bookstore like Barnes and Noble, but it's on Amazon as well, and that's called Rap Battles, and it's a very good gift as well. It looks nice, and Cypher Sounds actually recommended his favorite 10 hip-hop instrumentals, so if you then get it, you can then practice over his favorite instrumentals, which are
y'all go check out rap battles. That sounds like something my
Rap
my
Battles
girl
by
are
Chris
definitely
Turner.
looking into.
Yeah, and the artwork's beautiful. The artwork is really nice. So that's coming out, and aside from that, I'll have some stuff on a big special on my YouTube in the next month or so. We shot a weekend of shows in Austin, and we're releasing that. It will be out by Christmas. Currently finishing up the edit on that, but that's an hour of me doing shows in Austin on a weekend where I ended up performing at 4 different comedy clubs in Austin, including Joe Rogan's club and Cap City and the Creek and the Cave. And yes, we put all the kind of the best bits from that weekend in 1 hour-long special.
Wow, that's super. You've got some super dope things coming up, Chris. And again, I know you are booked and busy and you do have to go here soon, but thank you so much for joining me and for joining us.
Yeah, for joining everyone, infusing their day with a bit of joy.
With joy. Yes, absolutely. That's how we do it. Elevating mood and mentals and infusing your day with joy here at Laugh Therapy. Wishing you the best. Break a leg tonight on your show. And thank you so much for tuning into Laugh Therapy today, Chris. We will send you a copy of this, but also it will be promoted tonight. So everybody go and check out his show tomorrow and Saturday so that we can pack that out for him. And again, thank you so much for joining me, Chris.
Thank you so much. All the best. Ta-ra.
Absolutely. Kill your show.
Bye.
All right, cool. That was so much fun, guys. Chris is absolutely amazing. Definitely go check him out. I know you guys are digging that freestyle. The first time he came out at Cirque du Soleil and we got to see it, me and Jess were like, what in the, like, this white boy rapping? And he was actually really engaging and really fun. We are going to wrap up today's episode. I've been asking you guys to send in your Ask Joe questions to the email address. Again, you can send it into bookingjoe@gmail.com or joep@hot702.5fm or at hot7025fm.com. And these were sent into my email. So I am going to give the advice for the 2 that were sent. I'm going to read the letters and then I'm going to give the advice. So the first one says, "Hey, Joe, I hope you're doing well. I got to spill some tea. I've been riding this relationship roller coaster and I feel like I've been parked at the same dang spot for way too long. My husband's drowning in a job that he hates and it's sucking the life out of both of us. We had this plan, I'd hold down the fort with the kids while he found his mojo. Fast forward 6 years and I'm still holding it down, feeling like I'm stuck in some warp. My dreams are gathering dust on a shelf. I need your wisdom and whether it's time to hit the eject button. How did you navigate out of a situation like this? How'd you manage being a single mom and still chasing your dreams? This ain't just about me. I'm about finding the balance between love and not losing yourself in the process. I'm itching for a change, but I'm scared, frustrated, and frankly tired of waiting. Help a sister out. Woo, that's a lot. And I'm sure that there's a lot that went into coming to a point where you're ready to leave your spouse over it. But nothing in your letter says that he's doing anything, that in my opinion would cause me to end a marriage. Your letter doesn't say anything about domestic violence. It doesn't say anything about, infidelity. It doesn't say anything about him being a bad father. It doesn't say anything like that. It just seems like he may not be motivated, or he may not know what to do in order to chase his dreams the way that you're chasing yours. And I think it's funny that this is the letter that I received, because I feel like me and Jess are in a really weird space, not in our relationship, but in our lives as adults, because we have both decided to bet on ourselves and chase our dreams. And we decided to do it at the same time. And it's scary. It can be really scary choosing to bet on yourself, because betting on yourself in the moment may not always bring forth money. Right. So there are times when we're both looking at each other like we really hope that this betting on ourselves works out, because it's really frustrating to be in a position where that money doesn't look like it's coming. Right. And we just kind of have to bet on ourselves and have the faith that what we need is coming in. In your situation, it sounds like you're saying his job, you said, let me see. You said it's been parked in the same spot, and he hates his job and he's drowning in it. But if he is not pursuing anything else, and you were told that you were just supposed to hold down the fort while he, gets everything together at first, and he's not getting everything together, he's just stuck in this job, I would bring it back to his attention that, hey, it's my turn. It's been 6 years. This was supposed to be a short situation. It's been 6 years and I haven't gotten to, pursue my dreams. So I would have that conversation with him before I decided to end my marriage over it. If you have already continued to try and have this conversation, like, I'm ready to move on, I'm ready to get out here, my time is fading, I need to go ahead and get mine, and he's just anti that, then I would recommend, if you are sure on leaving, I'd recommend a simple separation first. Because saying that you guys have kids, breaking up a marriage because you want to pursue your dreams, after you pursue your dreams and everything's good, and he was a good man, what was the point of the divorce? You could have circled back, right? So I don't think that a divorce is necessarily necessary unless you are just sure that he's not going to ever get his mojo, if he ain't going to ever, or if he's hindering you from finding yours, right? If you talk to him and he says, fine, go ahead and try it, or blah, 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 then I don't think there's a reason for you to move forward. That would be my advice. Talk to your husband. And without giving an ultimatum of, since you won't let me chase my dreams, I'm going to leave you. Why not just say, I'm going to figure out how to chase my dreams, whether you support me or not, because he'll start supporting once it starts generating something. And sometimes we just got to prove to our husbands that we can do it. But also he may just feel like you don't trust him. He may feel like you don't trust him to handle it as well. So I would just choose our words wisely and make sure that he knows that it's not that you don't trust him, but it is that you have dreams of your own and you guys discuss those dreams. And it's been 6 years. You'd like to start, actually putting some action behind them now. If he's going to stick with that job, then fine. But you're not ready to stick with yours of being a stay-at-home mom. Yeah. And understanding what that looks like when those changes start happening, when, somebody's late to pick up the kids because you're no longer a stay-at-home mom, when the kids are complaining because you're no longer at the games or you're no longer at this, that, and the other. Remember that this is what you asked for when it came to chasing your dreams. So depending on how old your kids are, I would sit everybody down and make sure that they knew where your mindset was. Wishing you the absolute best of luck on that, love, because that's tough. That's tough. This next one. On this second one, it says, hey, Joe, I hope my message finds you vibing well and with good energy. I want to spill my tea without revealing my identity. So I'm writing this. Oh, is that the same one I just read? Writing this emotional roller coaster? How did both of y'all use the phrasing emotional roller coaster? Oh, no, well, one of y'all used emotional roller coaster and the other one used relationship roller coaster, but okay. So I've been writing this relationship roller coaster and it's getting kind of wild. I suspect my girl is up to shady shit again because her actions got that deja vu feel from her past unfaithful escapades. Uh-oh, we got a cheater. We've had 2 cheating situations in the past. Girl, why are we still here? hold on. Why is she even still your girl or your girlfriend? Because I'd have been out. Fuck that. Anyway, now she's hollering about me not moving on from history and always bringing up the past, but her current moves don't help me heal from the past one bit. I feel gaslit and crazy, like I'm in a reality show without a script. She still wants to kick it with the same crew of friends that covered for her when she was cheating and lying in the first place, claiming that they're all just hitting up the gym or parties, expecting me to be cool with it, like they didn't smile and lie in my face, and I'm not vibing with that. Can you please share your wisdom? Have you ever been in a situation like this? What's your take, and how would you handle it? I'm in desperate need of some guidance. Girl, focus on you. That's my advice. Focus on you, because it doesn't even say spouse. It doesn't say my spouse, my wife, nothing. It says my girl, my girlfriend. I think you're putting a lot of expectations in somebody that's already proven to you that they don't respect you as their girlfriend or as their partner, and that they don't take you seriously because they're willing to put in temporary people in there knowing that it could mean that they're going to lose you permanently. So while knowing that you very well may walk away from them, they're still willing to introduce these other people into your relationship. They don't respect you. I would get out. I would leave. Cheating one time is already enough of a reason to leave, but sometimes people make mistakes. Sometimes people do fuck up. Sometimes people get too drunk. Sometimes people get too mad, too angry, too hurt, too whatever, and they fall into things. Cheating a second time and still being in a relationship is wild to me. That's wild to me. They ran it back, like you let them spin the block and they still did it again. And now you suspect that they're doing it for a third time. As soon as you had suspicions, for me, you asked me what I would do. As soon as I had suspicions after that second time, if I did decide to stay, I wouldn't even ask. I wouldn't ask. I wouldn't snoop. I wouldn't start going through phones. I wouldn't, none of that. I'm complete. I'm done. I'm done with the relationship. Not because you actually are cheating, not because I have proof, but because what I do have proof of is my lack of trust for you. Yeah, I can prove that. I don't trust you. So that's where I would be at on that. If somebody cheats on you one time and you choose to forgive them, then that's, whatever, that's on you. But somebody cheats on you a second time and you're not married, you are not already committed to them, and got paperwork tied and businesses together and, stuff like that, like a Beyonce and Sierra situation. You feel me? Like when they spouses got to acting stupid, it's like, damn, we got a whole life intertwined with each other. If you don't have kids with this girl and you're not married and you could literally just break up and still have a life tomorrow, I don't understand why you still with her today. For me personally, I'd been gone. I would have been gone. You don't get to disrespect me that many times and have me out here feeling crazy in my head when you're the one who cheated. There's no reason for you to feel crazy outside of the fact that you're still in the relationship. There should be explanations every time. There should be reassurance every time you have a question. There should automatically be some get right and some let me make sure I get home on time, because I already know where my girl's mind is going to be because I've fucked up in the past. And if she's not owning the accountability of making sure that she's reassuring you, then that's not your girl. That's not your partner. That's somebody else's partner, and you fucking them currently. You are the other woman. So somebody else is her girlfriend in her mind, and you the side chick, and you making main chick rules or trying to make main chick rules is what it sounds like to me at this point. When you keep taking her back knowing that there are other women and she continues fucking with the other women, at some point it's you. It's your lack of boundaries of just being able to say, fuck this shit, I'm out. That is now responsible for her doing what it is that she's doing. Because she wouldn't be able to be cheating on you if you wouldn't have gotten back with her. It ain't cheating if you would have just left her alone. Because that's crazy to me. 3 times? You think she cheating on you again right now? And she already cheated on you twice? And she don't care to reassure you? She talking about you tripping and always bringing up the past? Oh no! See the old me would have lifted her doggone lip up, because I ain't got time. I don't have time for her to be playing in my face like that. But that's my advice. Not to hit her, but to leave her. Yeah, leave that situation alone. You're better than that. Again, guys, Laugh Therapy does go live every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Thank you guys for tuning in with us every week. Remember our Cash App, our what's the other thing called? Venmo, all of that can be reached at King Me comedy. Even if you guys cash out $5, $2, $3, whatever, it helps and it goes toward keeping us live on this station. So again, we appreciate all of your donations. Again, for those of you who would like to write Ask Jeaux next week, it is Booking Jeaux. My name is spelled Jeaux. bookingjoe@gmail.com. I'll read your letters online. You can submit them anonymously, and I will give my opinion on what it is that you should do next. Next week, I'm not even sure what guest we will have on for next week's shows, but tune in because y'all already know the subject matter is going to be great, and I'm going to be here, so it's going to be great. I look forward to seeing you guys next week on Laugh Therapy. Thank you so much. Love you.